Welcome to Bubiz, the kind of orc village where peace is just a temporary suggestion, and our boy is already sprinting through the restaurant like he's running for his life, while Auntie Guran keeps chopping meat with the casual intensity of a seasoned war veteran. Her blade work is honestly terrifying, a total masterclass in culinary aggression. But the kid does not care, he just snatches a piece of meat midair like a gremlin. Stuffing his face with zero shame, pure chaotic energy in every single bite. Then he zips away, leaving Auntie Guran absolutely fuming in his wake. Her patience is officially dead, replaced by the kind of rage that levels buildings, and she's already chasing him down, screaming threats that would make a demon sweat. Meanwhile, other orcs are busy hauling logs, totally ignoring the high-speed drama unfolding nearby. Until the kid decides to taunt a massive worker, clearly having a death wish today, which results in him getting absolutely flattened by a log, a total cartoon moment. This worker just looks down, confused by the tiny nuisance clinging to his cargo. Then he tosses the kid aside like a piece of trash, calling him a sprout, and screams a final, lovely warning that he better not show his face again. Later, the scene shifts to the fields where farming is the only real hobby. With the locals swinging scythes like they're preparing for a massive harvest festival, they watch the kid running again, wondering why he's always acting like a lunatic. At least his frantic pacing keeps the birds away from their precious crops, and now he's bragging about hunting a boar because why not aim for disaster? Our boy and his buddy are stalking a boar, preaching patience like seasoned hunters, but their grip on that spear is tighter than their actual plan, total amateur hour. Meanwhile, the oblivious boar just stands there, probably wondering why the bushes are staring. And our protagonist is vibrating with the kind of impatience that ruins every single hunt. Suddenly he snaps, ditching stealth for pure chaos as he lunges at the poor animal, screaming his lungs out while his partner watches the disaster unfold in real time. This boar does not even hesitate, just bolts away while our guy faceplints into the dirt. His partner is absolutely losing it, threatening to cook him if they go hungry tonight. Then the boar stops, giving them a brief window to actually do something useful. But the pig just lets out a rude noise and vanishes, leaving them totally empty-handed. Our guy stands up, dusting himself off with the confidence of someone who failed upwards. Still dizzy from his own reckless sprint, he wobbles around like a confused little goblin. Looking at the horizon, he decides that hunting is clearly beneath his massive, untapped potential. So he turns his attention to a giant mountain, declaring it his next big target. Gull, the self-proclaimed conqueror of peaks, charges the rock face with zero actual climbing gear, immediately slipping and falling because gravity is the only thing that actually respects his ambition. He recovers, digging his fingers into the stone like a desperate, tiny mountain goat. Scaling the massive wall, he looks like a speck of dust on a giant's shoulder. Grunting with every move, he focuses on his left hand to keep from plummeting down, then he shifts his weight to the right, barely clinging to his own delusions of grandeur. Gull slams into the rock face with a pathetic thud, his climbing dreams hitting reality. Dangling there like a sad, green ornament, he surveys the drop with genuine, wide-eyed terror. Meanwhile, a massive orc flexes his arm, preparing to show this sprout how it's done. He delivers a thunderous punch into the stone, shattering the cliffside with pure raw power. Rocks rain down as Gull gets tossed around like a ragdoll in a hurricane, total disaster. Silence follows the chaos, leaving our boy staring into the void, completely stunned and humbled. Then he snaps back into his usual manic mode, screaming at the mountain like a lunatic. Declaring war on the cliff, he starts climbing again with the stubbornness of a mule. Scaling the massive wall, he looks like a tiny bug trying to conquer a skyscraper. Exhaustion finally hits and he collapses into the dirt, his grand ambition buried under fatigue. Waking up with a jolt, he realizes he's still alive, which is a minor miracle. Overlooking the village at sunset, he lets out a dramatic wail that echoes for miles. Standing tall, he screams his name to the heavens, fully convinced he's the main character. Dreaming of future conquest, he ignores the fact that he barely survived a simple climb. A smirk creeps across his face, clearly plotting his next inevitable high-stakes failure. Suddenly, a gust of wind hits him and he's back to being a confused, flailing mess. Crawling out of the dust, he's still alive somehow against all laws of common sense. Back at the village, the chief calls a meeting and the atmosphere is dead serious. Gerk lectures the youth on the sacred traditions of the hunt, his voice booming authority. Listening intently, the young orcs grin, ready to face the dangers of this wild world. This chief lays out the rules: observe, evaluate, react, and hunt your prey with precision. But naturally, our boy Gull is missing from the lineup, clearly off doing his own thing. Gerk stares into the distance, his eyes narrowing as he wonders where that little menace vanished. Meanwhile, Gull is sprinting through the woods like a total lunatic, cackling at his own speed. He spots a rabbit minding its own business, the perfect target for his chaotic hunting style. Screaming about the hunt, he charges forward with zero stealth and absolutely no chill whatsoever. Tearing through the brush, he moves with the frantic energy of a caffeinated squirrel on edge. His hand reaches out, desperate to snatch victory from the jaws of his own incompetence. Somehow he actually grabs the rabbit, acting like he just conquered a legendary beast. Then the realization hits, he's late for the meeting and definitely in for a world of pain. Gerk sits on his throne, radiating the kind of disappointment that kills faster than any blade. Suddenly, the doors burst open, and Gull comes sliding in like he's playing a high-stakes sport. He skids down the left sideline, completely oblivious to the room's deadly serious atmosphere. Catching himself at the finish line, he slides into the meeting with zero grace. He screams about his touchdown, acting like he just won the championship instead of being late. This room goes dead silent, his face freezing as he realizes he's royally screwed up. Shadows loom over him, a wall of angry orcs ready to deliver some serious discipline. Gull tries to play it cool, whispering an apology while clutching his prize like a lifeline. Garrick just glares from the throne, his patience officially vaporized by this sprout's latest stunt. He barks a final order to line up and you know the punishment is coming. This chief drops the hammer, everyone gets 1 day to bring back a worthy hunt. Kagan kicks things off, showing off a boar that's literally still gassing him out. Meanwhile, the chief nods in approval, clearly impressed by the kid's weirdly successful effort. Dabuk steps up next, bragging about a head-butting contest he somehow won against a deer. Another nod from the chief confirms that brute force is definitely the village standard. Mudu saunters in, claiming he barely broke a sweat taking down a massive bighorn sheep. Applause erupts from the chief, who is absolutely loving this display of raw, youthful talent. Then Gull bursts in, holding a tiny rabbit like he's just conquered a legendary beast. This chief's expression shifts instantly, his eyes narrowing as he stares down the little menace. Braba Gull, son of the village blacksmith, steps forward to face the music, trembling hard. He salutes the chief with a shaky hand, fully aware that his luck just expired. Fury radiates from the chief, who finds the pathetic rabbit offering an absolute total insult. A massive fist winds up, crackling with the kind of energy that promises real pain. Wind whistles through the room as the strike launches, leaving no room for escape. Impact hits like a freight train, delivering a disciplinary punch that levels the playing field. This entire structure groans under the force, dust, and debris flying everywhere in the aftermath. Gull gets sent flying, his face meeting the floor with a very loud, painful thud. Sprawled out and dazed, he lets out a pathetic wail that echoes through the hall. Later that night, he wanders into the woods, nursing his bruised ego and sore body. Still huffing and puffing, he reflects on the harsh reality of being a bottom-tier hunter. Garrick is absolutely losing his mind, screaming about discipline and the sacred tradition of hunting. His eyes burning with pure, unadulterated rage as he orders Gull to get lost immediately. Our boy just wanders off, completely unfazed and acting like the chief's lecture was total nonsense. Trudging back to his pathetic little hideout, he's clearly not taking the punishment to heart. Grumbling about that grumpy old lady, he's still more worried about her than the chief. Auntie Guran is still on his tail, screaming threats while he shivers in the cold. Finally reaching his secret base, he starts singing, because why not embrace the total absurdity? Inside his sad little cave, he's got his meager stash, a true monument to mediocrity. Shaking a jar with manic energy, he's clearly up to something weird and potentially explosive. He collapses onto his makeshift bed, exhausted from being a complete and utter disaster today. Lying there, he's just staring at the ceiling, probably plotting his next massive, inevitable failure. Suddenly, he feels a weird tingle, his face twisting into a look of genuine confusion. Sitting up, he's still feeling that strange sensation, wondering if he's finally losing his mind. Nature calls, and he's just annoyed that even his own body won't let him rest. Standing on the cliff edge, he lets out a scream, fully embracing the chaotic night. Shouting into the void, he's acting like he's the king of this entire miserable world. Declaring his own special move, he unleashes his rolling thunder with zero actual tactical sense. A massive explosion rocks the forest, and he just watches the fire with wide eyes. Flames erupt in the distance, turning his little prank into a full-blown, uncontrolled wildfire disaster. Rocks start raining down on him because Karma is apparently a very fast and heavy hitter. Smoke billows from the cliffside, marking the spot where Gull's latest genius plan imploded. Our boy goes airborne, screaming his head off as gravity finally collects its long-overdue debt. He slams into the ground with a bone-jarring thud, proving once again that physics wins. Dazed and confused, he lies there with his mouth wide open, tasting pure unadulterated failure. Then he starts spitting out debris, his internal monologue clearly just a string of curses. Hacking and coughing, he tries to regain his composure while looking like a total wreck. Suddenly a massive, shadowy beast looms over him, turning his bad night into a nightmare. Gull stares up, his eyes wide behind those goggles, realizing he is absolutely, royally doomed. Flashing back to moments earlier, we see him creeping through the dark, silent forest woods. Clutching a sharp blade, he moves with the unearned confidence of a seasoned, deadly assassin. Cackling to himself, he thinks he's the apex predator, completely unaware of the looming threat. He whips his blade through the air, feeling like a hero in his own head. A sudden, blinding flash of light cuts through the darkness, signaling that something went wrong. That same monstrous beast appears, swatting his pathetic weapon away like it's a mere toothpick. Standing there, Gull looks absolutely terrified, his bravado vanishing faster than his chances of survival. He mutters a desperate curse, finally grasping that he's way out of his depth tonight. Clutching his bleeding side, he realizes he's too injured to outrun this absolute, lethal monster. This beast growls, its fiery energy crackling as it prepares to finish this pathetic hunt. Massive claws tear through the earth, shaking the ground beneath our boy's trembling, weak knees. Facing the giant, glowing predator, Gull stands his ground looking like a tiny, doomed snack. That massive beast slams into the ground, turning the forest floor into a total crater. Gull goes flying through the air, his body taking a beating like a cheap toy. Dazed and spitting blood, he looks like he's about to meet his maker right now. Scrambling to his feet, he tries to regain some dignity while the dust settles down, Coughing up more blood, he realizes his internal organs are definitely not having a good time. Staring into the darkness, he vows to protect his prize even if it kills him. Shadows shift as the beast looms closer, its fiery aura making the night feel hotter. Two mysterious, glowing-eyed figures watch from the sidelines, clearly unimpressed by this whole chaotic mess. One of them smirks, enjoying the show as if it's just another Tuesday night brawl. Feeling that crushing pressure, Gull grits his teeth knowing he's completely out of his league. Clutching his blade, he tries to channel his inner assassin despite the obvious, painful reality. Charging forward with a desperate scream, he decides to fight until his very last breath. This beast just flicks his pathetic blade away, showing him exactly how little he matters. Screaming his signature move, he tries to summon some power from the empty, dark void. A massive explosion rocks the mountain, but it's mostly just noise and zero actual impact. Cursing his luck, he realizes his grand plan was just a recipe for more pain. Dashing through the trees, he tries to escape the carnage he accidentally helped create today. Stumbling upon a random, drooling goblin, he's clearly not the only one having a bad night. That poor creature just stares back, completely confused by the sudden, loud, and violent intrusion. This beast catches up, roaring right behind him as his nightmare finally comes to life. Gull is absolutely losing his mind, screaming at the top of his lungs in pure terror. His feet scramble against the dirt, trying to find any traction to get away fast. That monstrous beast looms over him, and Gull is just panicking like a total amateur. A mysterious, goggled stranger watches from the side, realizing an orc village is nearby. Desperate to survive, the stranger tries to bargain, but Gull is far too busy screaming. Our boy shouts back a threat, acting like he's actually got a chance to win. He lunges forward with zero tactical awareness, just pure, unadulterated, chaotic energy. Launching a rock at the beast, he yells something ridiculous, truly a master of bad decisions. This monster just smirks, clearly unimpressed by this tiny, green, and very loud nuisance. A sickening crack echoes through the air as the beast prepares to strike back. Energy pulses from the monster, its eyes glowing with a terrifying, lethal, and hungry intensity. Gull realizes he's in deep trouble, his bravado finally crumbling into a puddle of regret. A massive impact rocks the ground, sending shockwaves that rattle the entire forest floor. This goggled stranger watches in disbelief as Gull gets launched like a discarded toy. Another heavy blow lands, crushing the earth and proving that size definitely matters here. Our boy goes airborne again, spinning through the dark sky with absolutely zero grace. Gravity takes hold, and he plummets toward the rocks, screaming the whole way down. He slams into the stone wall with a bone-jarring thud, physics being cruel today. Sprawled against the cliff, he's motionless, the fight having been knocked out of him. Blood trickles down his face, the price of his arrogance finally paid in full. Gull gets absolutely flattened into the dirt, a total masterclass in getting wrecked, while a mysterious, goggled stranger watches our boy struggle to even breathe properly. This stranger leans in, asking if the kid is actually alive after that beating. Twitching on the ground, Gull is clearly running on pure, unadulterated, chaotic survival instinct. Suddenly he snaps, slapping the stranger in a panic, zero chill, all bad decisions. This stranger recoils, looking completely baffled by this tiny, green, and incredibly stupid outburst. Realizing his mistake, Gull tries to play it cool, acting like he's totally fine. He starts fanboying over the stranger's ears because apparently he's never seen an elf. Crouching low, the stranger just stares, probably questioning every life choice leading here. Adjusting those goggles, the stranger looks ready to snap, patience wearing dangerously thin. Introducing themselves as Aeternum, a dark elf, they beg for help with their wounds. Pointing toward the mountain, Gull just screams in terror at the massive, looming threat. Something heavy starts charging up, making a mechanical grinding noise that spells total doom. Energy crackles as the device hits peak intensity, ready to unleash absolute fiery chaos. A massive swirling vortex of destruction forms, looking like a literal nightmare come alive. That mountain peak erupts, sending a giant flaming projectile straight toward our two idiots. Both of them just stand there, eyes wide, realizing they are completely royally cooked. This explosion hits, sending Gull and Aeternum flying like ragdolls through the night air. Slamming into the cliffside, Gull takes the brunt of the impact. Physics is cruel. Aeternum winces in pain, teeth gritted, as the reality of their situation hits hard. Aeternum, battered and desperate, begs the young orc for some much-needed assistance right now. Gull ignores the plea and bolts, leaving the dark elf behind in a cloud of dust. Panic sets in as the reality of their lethal situation hits our boy like a truck. Collapsing into the dirt, Gull is clearly not built for this high-stakes, life-or-death survival game. Panting heavily, he tries to catch his breath while the forest echoes with his frantic gasps. Clutching his chest, he struggles to maintain any composure while the danger looms ever closer. Suddenly, he scoops up the injured Aeternum, barking orders to get out of there immediately. That monstrous beast roars, its fiery energy lighting up the woods like a hellish beacon. Screaming at the top of his lungs, Gull sprints through the dark, chaotic forest maze. Aeternum yells for more speed, terrified they'll be sliced in half by the pursuing predator. Gasping for air, Gull snaps back that running faster is easier said than done, brah. This beast lunges, sending them both tumbling through the air in a desperate, messy escape. Landing hard, Gull barely avoids a lethal strike that shaves the bark off nearby trees. Scrambling back to his feet, he lets out a wild, terrified cry of pure adrenaline. Looking up at the moon, he sees the beast circling back for another brutal attack. Grabbing Aeternum again, Gull makes a break for it, shouting that he's got them covered. Narrowly dodging the blast, he jokes that missing by a hair is his new specialty. This monster fires another energy beam, turning the night into a blinding, golden, fiery nightmare. Racing toward the village, Gull decides that seeking help is the only play left now. Charging through the brush, he screams for backup, hoping the village can handle this disaster. A massive explosion rocks the forest, turning the night into a blinding, fiery inferno. Gull gets launched through the air, his backside literally on fire from the blast. Tangled in vines, he hangs there like a sad ornament while the world spins. Clutching the injured Aeternum, he tries to make a dramatic, heroic exit from the chaos. Dangling precariously, he stares at the village below, wondering if he'll actually survive this mess. Terror hits him hard, his eyes wide as he realizes the sheer scale of danger. Meanwhile, a massive orc sits at a ramen stall, completely oblivious to the impending doom. Sighing heavily, the orc laments the stress of leadership while waiting for his hot meal. Steam rises from the perfect bowl of ramen, the only thing that truly understands him. Inhaling the savory aroma, he finds a brief moment of peace in this chaotic world. Savoring the anticipation, he prepares his chopsticks with the focus of a seasoned warrior. Gripping the wooden sticks tight, he readies himself for the ultimate culinary experience tonight. Snapping them apart with precision, he feels the satisfying crack of a perfect start. Lifting a golden strand of noodles, he admires the craftsmanship of his favorite dish. Staring at the prize, he prepares to dive into the flavor, absolutely losing his mind. Screaming in pure delight, he begins an intense, high-energy mukbang session for the ages. Suddenly, the wall behind him explodes, sending debris flying into his precious, steaming bowl. Dust and wreckage fill the air, ruining the peaceful vibe of the entire village square. Gull and Aeternum crash into the scene, looking like absolute disasters amidst the scattered rubble. This orc's eye twitches in fury, his dinner ruined by these two uninvited, chaotic guests. Gull and Aeternum crash into the village, begging for help against the massive beast. This village chief stands there, his dinner bowl shattered and his mood absolutely ruined. A terrifying roar echoes as the monster looms over the village, ready for destruction. Seeing his ruined ramen, the chief snaps, his eyes glowing with pure unadulterated rage. Charging forward with lethal intent, he prepares to teach this beast a painful lesson. Unleashing a massive ramen-fueled strike, he aims to wipe that monster off the map. Shockwaves tear through the area as the impact sends debris flying in every direction. Dust settles, revealing the sheer power behind the chief's desperate, hungry, and angry counterattack. This beast recoils, realizing it picked the absolute wrong village to mess with tonight. Shadows stretch as the chief stands tall, his presence dwarfing the retreating, wounded predator. Striking again, he slams the monster into the wooden barricade with bone-crushing force. Watching the beast crumble, the chief sneers at its pathetic attempt to cause chaos. Aeternum stares in disbelief, wondering how an orc could possibly be this insanely strong. Steam vents from the chief's body, his adrenaline still pumping from the sudden fight. Ordering his warriors to sound the alarm, he ensures the village stays on guard. A deep, booming horn blast echoes across the valley, signaling a state of emergency. Villagers scramble toward the safety of the shelter, panic spreading through the entire square. Reaching for his massive, heavy hammer, the chief prepares for any further unwanted trouble. Heavy footsteps thunder against the ground as the orc squad moves into defensive positions. Armed and ready, the elite guard charges out, looking for any remaining hostile threats. This orc chief rallies his warriors, screaming for battle against the uninvited intruders. Two mysterious, blue-skinned figures loom in the shadows, watching the village with malice. Warning signs flash as the orcs prepare to defend their home from these outsiders. Pure rage burns in the chief's eyes, promising a world of pain for the trespassers. War cries erupt from the ranks, the orcs ready to crush anyone in their path. Charging forward with heavy footsteps, the squad moves to secure the perimeter of town. Meanwhile, Gull frantically checks on the battered Aeternum, begging the elf to stay conscious. A group of young orcs sneaks up, spotting their friend Gull amidst the wreckage. Terrified but curious, the youngsters decide to creep closer to see what happened here. Arguments break out over who should lead the charge, nobody wanting to go first. Finally, they shove each other forward, rushing into the scene with chaotic, nervous energy. Sprinting toward the disaster, they find Gull kneeling over the bloody, unconscious dark elf. Stunned by the sight, Gull looks up, his brain struggling to process the situation. His friends swarm in, bombarding Gull with questions while performing an awkward, panicked handshake. Looking at Aeternum, they roast the poor guy's appearance, calling him a bloody eggplant. A massive, angry uncle stomps over, screaming at the kids for being in danger. Trying to act tough, one of the youngsters claims they were just finding Gull. Heavy, ominous footsteps echo nearby, signaling that the real threat is finally closing in. Those two blue-skinned monsters emerge from the dark, grinning with terrifying, sharp-toothed hunger. Shivers run down Gull's spine as he realizes the nightmare is far from over. Gull is shaking in his boots, asking his uncle who these creepy intruders are. Gerk, the village chief, tells the kids to brace for impact, zero sugarcoating here. A close-up reveals the terrifying, glowing eyes of the enemies closing in on them. Those eyes narrow with malice, confirming that this is definitely not a friendly visit. This realization hits like a sledgehammer, these guys are straight-up demons. Eyes all right, a blue-skinned demon mocks the injured dark elf with a creepy grin. Gerk steps up, towering over the duo and screaming for them to back off. Laughing off the threat, Izal finds the angry orc chief absolutely hilarious. Explaining his mission, the demon demands the dark elf, promising to leave otherwise. Garrick is not having it, fuming that they ruined his peaceful ramen time. Standing his ground, the chief warns them they're about to be buried. Mocking the orc's bravado, the demons prepare to show him exactly who's boss. A sinister grin spreads across the demon's face, signaling the start of violence. Izal moves with terrifying speed, closing the distance in a blur of motion. Garrick's eyes widen as he realizes the sheer power behind the incoming assault. Shouting for his warriors to hold the line, he braces for the collision. Chaos erupts as the demons smash into the orc squad with brutal, overwhelming force. Bam! The demon lands a heavy strike, sending shockwaves through the entire village square. Sparks fly as Garrick blocks the lethal blow, his weapon groaning under the pressure. A massive explosion tears through the area, leaving everyone reeling from the sudden blast. Garrick swings his massive saw blade, carving through the air with pure, unadulterated orcish fury. A simple tap on the ground signals the start of a truly legendary beatdown. Terrified orc kids scramble away, watching their uncle prepare for a total village-level disaster. Garrick growls that these demons are no joke, his grip tightening on his weapon menacing. Smoke billows as the two heavyweights stare each other down, the tension absolutely suffocating. Fiend, the greed demon's third seat, introduces himself with a grin that screams trouble. Garrick barks at the kids to stay back, his focus locked entirely on the intruder. Claiming the title of Bob the Builder, Garrick prepares to defend his architectural masterpiece. Pointing a massive finger, he declares his ownership of the house with pride, absurdly intense. Sturdy construction is clearly the chief's only personality trait, and he's ready to defend it. Fiend mocks the orc's obsession, his blue skin glowing with a sinister, dark energy. Snarling back, the demon promises to crush everything in sight, including the chief's pride. Garrick lunges forward, his saw blade tearing through the atmosphere in a desperate, powerful strike. Screaming at the youngsters to flee, he prioritizes their safety over his own survival. Panic consumes the group as they realize the sheer scale of the incoming carnage. Unleashing a roar, Garrick swings again, hoping to catch the demon off guard and unprepared. Trading blows, the two monsters lock eyes, their mutual hatred fueling the chaotic brawl. Roaring for his squad to hold the line, Garrick refuses to yield an inch. Shockwaves ripple across the field as their powers collide, shaking the very earth itself. Fiend vanishes in a blur, leaving Garrick stunned and searching for the next strike. A massive explosion rocks the village, signaling that the gloves are officially coming off. Garrick and the demon collide in midair, trading blows with enough force to shatter reality. Our orc chief launches a counterstrike, but the demon dodges with that annoying, effortless grace. Izal laughs like a total maniac, clearly enjoying the chaos he's brought to this doorstep. Mocking Garrick, the demon admits he's actually impressed by the chief's surprising level of strength. Garrick is not buying the flattery, calling out the demon's speed while keeping his guard tight. Promising a swift end, the chief prepares to put this blue-skinned pest in the ground. Izal just shrugs off the threat, acting like this is all part of his twisted game. Suddenly, the demon lunges, closing the gap with a speed that defies all common sense. Dust kicks up as the ground craters beneath them, the impact shaking the entire area. Garrick tries to reposition, but the demon is already on him, relentless and super annoying. Spinning around, the chief attempts a heavy strike to regain some control of this brawl. Focus locked, Garrick channels every ounce of his rage into one final, desperate, crushing blow. Bam! The demon counters with a brutal hit, sending our boy reeling from the impact. Spinning through the air, Garrick takes the full force of the demon's overwhelming, dark power. Izal does not let up, pressing the advantage while the chief struggles to find his footing. Taunting the orc, the demon dares him to keep fighting despite the obvious, painful disadvantage. Garrick grits his teeth, refusing to stay down even as his body screams for rest. Another heavy strike lands, leaving the chief bloodied and struggling to stay in the fight. Crashing down, Garrick hits the dirt hard while the demon looms above, totally unbothered. Garrick takes a massive hit, his guard shattered by the demon's overwhelming sudden speed. Down he goes, the orc chief pinned into the dirt like a common training dummy. Boredom radiates from the demon, who treats this life-or-death struggle like a mundane chore. Yikes. Impact rocks the village, sending shockwaves through the ground as the demon lands hard. Dust clears to show Garrick pinned, his pride and his body taking a brutal beating. Crushing force pins the chief, the demon showing exactly who runs this show right now. Standing tall, the demon mocks Garrick, calling him an idiot for not handing over a dressin. Threatening to level the entire village, the villain looms over our battered, bloody orc chief. Tension hangs heavy in the air as Garrick struggles to stand against his superior foe. Realizing the demon's goal is a dressin, Garrick steels himself for one more desperate, painful stand. Charging up, the chief vows to buy time for the kids to escape the carnage. Laughing at the effort, the demon prepares to finish this, leaving Garrick feeling totally doomed. Screaming a battle cry, Garrick refuses to yield, his orcish stubbornness overriding his broken bones. Power surges from the demon, his aura crackling with a dark, terrifying, and lethal energy. Clashing again, the two trade blows, the sheer force of the impact tearing everything apart. Stunned by the demon's raw power, Garrick reels, his defenses failing under the relentless assault. Grinning with malice, the demon enjoys the chief's struggle, his confidence absolutely through the roof. Swooping in, the demon launches a strike that threatens to end the fight for good. Blam! The hit connects with devastating force, sending Garrick flying through the air like trash. Crashing into the wooden wall, the chief is left pinned, his defense completely and utterly broken. Garrick slams into the wall, his massive frame taking the full brunt of the impact. That demon's strike carves a trench through the earth, leaving nothing but dust and debris. Fiend looms over our boy, mocking his construction skills with a truly dark, twisted grin, promising that the only thing Garrick will build today is his own final wooden resting place. A massive explosion erupts, sending shockwaves that rattle the very foundation of the entire orc village. Garrick lets out a guttural roar, his body battered but his spirit refusing to just quit. Standing tall, the demon taunts him, claiming his dreams of a peaceful home are totally over. Panic hits the youngsters as they realize their uncle is down and the end is near. Fiend prepares to finish the job, his dark energy crackling as he targets the elf. Another blast tears through the ground, leaving the area in a cloud of thick, choking smoke. Through the haze, a sudden, sharp gust of wind signals that someone new has arrived. Crimson eyes flash in the darkness, cutting through the gloom with a cold, deadly intensity. Lozen steps in, blocking the demon's strike with ease and checking on the terrified young orcs. Relief washes over the kids as they recognize the chief's right hand, their savior in battle. High above, the village remains in chaos, the threat of the demons looming over every home. Lozen barks orders, her voice commanding the group to scramble toward the safety of the shelter. A breathless scout bursts into the elder's room, desperate to report the unfolding, total disaster. Screaming about the intruders, he finds the elder, who seems strangely calm amidst the rising panic. Thwack, a pipe hits the scout's head, the elder telling him to just chill out already. Snarling, the elder makes it clear he knows exactly what's going down, he ain't no fool. A massive explosion rocks the area, signaling that the situation has gone completely nuclear. Lozen makes a break for it, sprinting through the chaos to reach the terrified youngsters. Looking down from the cliff, she calculates the distance while the village burns below her. Frustration boils over as she realizes she will not reach them in time for a leap. Gritting her teeth, she prepares to jump and unleash her hidden, dormant power. Energy surges around Lozen, manifesting as her legendary spirit beast, the rhino. A blinding golden aura erupts, tearing through the night sky with sheer, raw force. This kids stare in awe, their fear momentarily replaced by pure, wide-eyed wonder. Explaining the rarity of such power, the elder notes that only elite warriors awaken it. Massive strength and armor-like skin define this beast, making it a total game-changer. Lozen slams into the ground with a shockwave, proving why she's the chief's right hand. Landing with the force of a meteor, she clears the path for a counterattack. Roaring with intensity, she prepares to defend the group from the incoming demon threat. This blue-skinned demon lunges, but Lozen is already there, ready to shut him down. Trading blows, she proves her status as the ultimate orc fighter in this brutal brawl. Blocking the demon's strike with one hand, she checks on the kids, absolute legend. Stunned by her sudden arrival, the demon stares back with a look of pure confusion. Lozen counters with a spinning strike, sending the intruder reeling from the unexpected impact. Victory cheers erupt from the youngsters as their savior dominates the battlefield. With the threat contained, Lozen stands tall, ready to finish this fight for good. This orc kid stands his ground, shouting that Uncle Bob is the real deal. Another youngster shakes his head, completely unimpressed by the kid's wild, famblevel claims. Panic erupts as they argue over who caused the elf's condition while he bleeds out. Lozen steps in, her face a mask of pure, focused rage as she enters the fray. Screaming for everyone to shut up, she takes charge with an intensity that silences the room. Questioning why demons are hunting an elf, she orders the kids to get him medical help. Cold determination fills her eyes as she vows to eliminate anyone threatening their peaceful village. This squad gathers behind her, ready to handle business while the demon looms in distance. Chewing on a toothpick, Lozen looks like she's ready to start a fight, not end one. Declaring it's time to wreck some balls, the orc team prepares for a total beatdown. Fiend just laughs, finding the idea of a group attack absolutely hilarious and pathetic. Lunging forward with blinding speed, Lozen closes the gap before the demon can even blink. Airborne and ready, she channels her energy into a strike that promises serious, painful consequences. Golden sparks dance around her foot, signaling the sheer power behind her incoming heavy blow. Connecting with a massive blam, she sends a shockwave that tears through the solid earth. Rock shatters under the pressure, the ground literally breaking apart from the force of impact. Fiend stands amidst the debris, looking like he just survived a minor, annoying tremor. Leaping high into the air, the demon prepares to counterattack with his own dark energy. Midair, he launches a projectile at Lozen, who stands firm against the incoming lethal threat. Everything explodes in a massive crash, leaving the battlefield shrouded in dust and pure chaos. A massive shockwave tears through the cliffside as the blue demon launches a devastating aerial assault. Izal stares down with those dead, soulless eyes, clearly thinking this is just a minor inconvenience. Garrick gets absolutely launched into the stratosphere, his body taking the full brunt of that insane impact. Midair, the demon follows up with a strike that could probably shatter a mountain into tiny pebbles. Another explosive blast rocks the area, proving that our boy is in way over his head today. Izal floats there looking smug, acting like he's just swatting away a particularly annoying buzzing housefly. Garrick tries to swing back with his trusty tool, but the demon just tanks the hit effortlessly. With a casual flick, the blue menace sends our orc chief spiraling back down toward the dirt. Gravity does the rest of the work while the demon descends with that irritating, calm, floaty grace. Landing with a heavy thud, Izal creates a crater that screams he is not playing around anymore. Spinning around, the demon prepares to unleash a flurry of attacks that would make anyone else quit. Lozen and her squad jump in, slashing at the blue giant to keep him off their chief. Izal's eyes glow with a menacing, dark intensity, showing he's finally getting a little bit annoyed now. Our orc fighters keep pressing the attack, trying to overwhelm the demon with sheer, desperate, coordinated teamwork. Blam, the demon counters every single blow, treating their best efforts like a light, breezy morning workout. Lozen and the others lock eyes, realizing that their combined strength might not be enough to win. Izal starts venting some kind of dark, misty energy, making the whole battlefield feel super cold. A massive roar echoes as the demon releases a shockwave that sends everyone flying in different directions. Standing amidst the smoke, the demon looks totally bored, while a green fighter watches from behind. Silence falls over the ruins as the demon looms, his glowing eye signaling the end is near. Umpfiend swings with terrifying speed, catching our green fighter off guard with a brutal strike. That impact sends them both plummeting toward the earth like a falling star of pure pain. Crashing down, the demon pins our hero into the dirt, clearly done with this little game. From above, the village looks like a war zone with our fighters scattered and completely outmatched. Lozen charges up her golden aura, eyes burning with a desperate need to turn the tide. Nearby, a fallen ally lies motionless, the grim reality of this fight hitting home way too hard. Another demon barks orders, demanding Umpfiend stop playing around and finally secure the target elf. Slamming down again, Umpfiend shows zero mercy, treating our defenders like nothing more than dirt. Umpfiend is absolutely losing it now, his face a twisted mask of pure, unadulterated rage. Ground shatters under the sheer weight of the assault, leaving our hero buried in the rubble. Lozen launches herself into the fray, a golden streak of defiance against the encroaching dark energy. Unleashing her signature move, she aims to crush the demon with the force of a rhino. Bam! The collision rocks the entire area, sending shockwaves that rattle the very bones of everyone. Umpfiend staggers back, looking genuinely annoyed that a mere mortal actually managed to land one. Stepping forward, Lozen holds her ground, refusing to let the demon advance another single inch. Standing tall, she stares down the blue menace, her presence radiating a defiant, unshakable warrior spirit. Umpfiend grins, mocking her strength while admitting he did not expect an orc girl to fight. Laughing through the pain, Lozen calls out the absurdity of this demon's overwhelming, unfair power level. Exhaustion hits her like a truck, her energy reserves completely drained from that last desperate burst. Collapsing into the grass, she prays that her sacrifice was enough to buy the kids time. Lozen lies battered in the dirt, her only goal being to buy the kids time. Meanwhile, the young orcs are losing their minds, arguing over who is actually winning this. Panic spikes as they realize their elven companion is fading fast, needing immediate medical help. Suddenly, a familiar hulking presence stirs in the shadows, veins pulsing with raw, suppressed rage. This youngsters scramble to hide, terrified that their bickering just gave away their secret location. Fear grips the group as they watch the darkness, praying they have not been spotted yet. A menacing shadow looms over the area, questioning why anyone is still breathing around here. Boom! The ground erupts as a massive force finally makes its long-awaited explosive entrance. Debris flies everywhere, scattering the terrified orc kids as the true powerhouse steps forward. With eyes glowing red, the chief demands to know if his ramen was finished. These kids are too stunned to speak, completely caught off guard by his sudden arrival. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the chief knows this fight is about to escalate. A golden aura begins to radiate from his body, shaking the very earth beneath him. Power surges through his veins, his legendary presence turning the tide of this brutal battle. This demon stares in absolute shock, finally recognizing the legendary beastmaster standing right before him. Cracking his knuckles, the chief warns the demon that standing up was a fatal mistake. A massive spirit beast manifests behind him, roaring with the intensity of 1,000 storms. Laughing maniacally, the demon can't believe his target is still standing after that massive beating. Recognition dawns on the intruder, realizing he's facing the strongest orc to ever walk Earth. Vowing vengeance for his ruined ramen, the chief prepares to unleash total, unadulterated destruction. This demon taunts the chief, daring him to show what he's actually capable of doing. With a sudden burst of speed, the chief closes the distance in a total blur. Bam! He lands a massive hit that sends the blue menace reeling from the impact. Dust clouds erupt as the chief stands his ground, ready to keep the pressure high. Bang! A brutal kick connects, proving that our boy is not going down without a fight. This demon tries to recover, but the chief is already moving to keep him pinned. Bang! Another heavy strike lands, tearing through the air with pure, raw, unadulterated orc power. Shockwaves ripple across the battlefield as the two titans trade blows in a chaotic dance. GRR, they lock eyes in a stare-down that screams this is getting personal right now. Unleashing his signature move, the chief screams out the name of his devastating bear hammer. Cuck! The demon takes the full force of the blow, his face showing genuine pain. Boom! The ground shatters under the sheer weight of the chief's overwhelming, heavy-handed assault. GRSH, the demon is sent flying, his body struggling to handle the sudden, violent momentum. Duak, another crushing hit lands, leaving the blue menace looking completely dazed and confused. Grabbing the demon by the head, the chief prepares to end this little game. Boom! He slams the intruder into the dirt with enough force to crack the earth. Tuak, the demon, is launched into the air, bleeding and clearly out of his depth. Gravity takes over as the blue menace plummets, his smug confidence now completely shattered. Catching him midair, the chief locks him in a grip that promises total, painful defeat. Whirlwind Bear Bomb finishes the job, leaving nothing but dust and a very broken demon. Our boy moves with such speed that the air itself seems to warp around him. Boom, he hits the ground with enough force to turn the landscape into a crater. Dust settles as the chief stands ready, his aura crackling with pure, unadulterated combat energy. Metallic gauntlets lock into place, signaling that he is done playing nice with this demon. Crackling with dark power, he prepares to unleash a technique that will definitely leave a mark. Shifting his weight, he digs his boots into the dirt for a truly devastating strike. Gash, he tears through the air, his movement so fast it creates a vacuum of force. Boom, the impact is instantaneous, sending shockwaves that ripple across the entire ruined battlefield. Blood drips from his brow, but the chief's eyes burn with a terrifying, focused intensity. Bam, he connects with a brutal blow that sends the demon reeling backward in shock. Grinning through the pain, the chief shows he is clearly enjoying this absolute beatdown. Blam, he follows up with a series of strikes that leave the demon no room. Red eyes glow in the dark, marking the moment the demon realizes he is finished. Swiping through the air, the chief catches the demon off guard with a lightning-fast maneuver. Grabs, he locks onto the demon's arm with a grip of solid, unyielding iron. F-walk, he swings the demon around like a ragdoll, showing zero mercy for the intruder. Slam, he drives the demon into the earth, shattering the ground beneath their heavy feet. Lifting him high, the chief prepares to end this fight with one final, crushing blow. Bang, he delivers a strike that resonates with the raw power of a mountain collapsing. Bang, the demon hits the dirt, finally silenced by the sheer might of our chief. Garrick stands amidst the wreckage, his shadow looming large as he prepares for the rematch. Introducing himself with classic orc bravado, he claims the title of Beast, not Beastmaster, yet. Night falls over the village, setting a tense stage for the inevitable, brutal confrontation ahead. Tension coils in the air as Garrick readies his stance, muscles tense for the coming strike. Crouching low, he channels his inner fire, turning the battlefield into his own personal arena. Bending forward, he focuses every ounce of his remaining strength into one singular, explosive movement. Boom, the ground erupts as he launches himself forward, leaving a trail of destruction behind. Lozen lies motionless in the rubble, a grim reminder of the demon's overwhelming, unfair power level. Mudu stares in disbelief, his eyes wide as he processes the absolute carnage unfolding around them. Panic ripples through the young orcs, their desperate bickering highlighting just how hopeless this fight feels. Standing alone against the blue menace, the kids realize they are way out of their depth. Refusing to back down, the young orcs double down on their stubborn, suicidal sense of honor. Charging headlong into danger, they scream their defiance, clearly hoping for a miracle that is not coming. This blue demon looms over them, unimpressed by their tiny, insignificant attempts at being heroic warriors. Reaching out with a massive hand, he treats their brave charge like a minor, annoying inconvenience. Flicking his finger, he sends the kids flying, proving that size really does matter in combat. Kazum, the demon, unleashes a shockwave that rattles the entire area, scattering the group like leaves. Watching their friends get tossed around, the remaining orcs can only scream in sheer, unadulterated terror. Looming over the last standing kid, the demon prepares to swat them away like a fly. With a casual flick, he ends the resistance, leaving the village in a state of ruin. That blue demon looks confused, probably wondering why his lunch is still kicking and screaming. With a massive hand, he looms over the tiny orc like a giant swatting a fly. Panic sets in as the little guy realizes he is officially out of his depth here. Swooping down, the demon snatches him up, treating the whole fight like a casual afternoon stroll. Trapped in that iron grip, the orc struggles, but his efforts are basically just adorable flailing. Mocking the captive, the demon laughs while the orc screams for him to let go already. Wada, the little warrior, lands a desperate strike, drawing blood from the smug blue giant. Insulting the demon's hair, the orc shows he has zero survival instinct but plenty of sass. While the demon finally snaps, his patience clearly thinner than his actual hair strands right now. Kazum, he launches the kid away with enough force to turn him into a human projectile. Whoosh, the orc flies through the air, heading straight for a very painful, hard landing. Suddenly, a massive hand catches him mid-flight, stopping the momentum with absolutely zero effort at all. Elder Guran enters the chat, looking like he's ready to lecture everyone on proper village etiquette. GBRSH, he drops the kid onto the grass, making it clear who is the boss here. Complaining about the property damage, Guran sighs, clearly tired of Garrick's constant, loud, village-wrecking antics. Walking through the dark, he searches for Lozen, his expression hardening as he senses her presence. Finding her buried in the rubble, the sight of her broken form kills the mood instantly. Oi, Guran calls out, his voice dripping with a dangerous, cold, and very focused rage. Staring back, the blue demon blinks, finally realizing he might have picked the wrong fight today. Glaring with glowing red eyes, Guran asks the question that guarantees a very violent, messy ending. Guran drops in with a golden shockwave, making the blue demon look like a total amateur. That demon is losing his mind, struggling to process the sheer intensity of Guran's massive aura. Panic forces the intruder to activate his soul cast, desperate to survive this absolute beatdown incoming. With a drill arm ready, he prioritizes the elf, ignoring the fact he's clearly outmatched here. Sensing the vice captain's presence, the demon realizes his day is about to get much worse. Guran stands his ground, watching the drill-wielding menace approach with a look of pure cold boredom. Channeling his partial Ryuju, Guran transforms his arm into a dragon's limb, ready for some violence. Scales harden over his skin, turning his fist into a weapon of absolute crushing destruction. Guran blocks the drill with his bare hand, asking if the demon's mother taught him manners. Grinding metal against dragon scales, the drill struggles to even scratch Guran's legendary reinforced hide. Sparks fly as Guran holds the line, proving that size means nothing against true raw power. Crushing the drill into useless scrap, Guran shows exactly why you do not mess with the elders. Gasping in shock, the demon realizes his best weapon just became a pile of expensive trash. Guran leaps into the air, ready to deliver a lesson that will definitely leave a mark. Grinning with menace, he tells the demon it is time to say goodnight for good. Bringing his fist down like a falling mountain, Guran prepares to flatten the entire area. Blam, the impact hits with the force of a meteor, shaking the very foundation of reality. Boom, dust and debris swallow the battlefield as Guran's strike turns the ground into rubble. Clouds of smoke drift over the crater, hiding the aftermath of that absolutely brutal final blow. Standing tall, Guran declares that no matter the demon's goal, hurting his people is a death sentence. This demon drops a final edgy threat, clearly unaware that his expiration date just arrived. Guran steps up looking like he's about to teach this intruder some serious respect. Finally, our chief marches in, absolutely livid about the state of his precious, demolished village property. A massive crater marks the spot where things went south, showing the scale of destruction. Guran stares down the chaos, his calm demeanor hiding a storm of pure unadulterated rage. Denying any involvement, he calls out the intruder for being a total, incompetent, harebrained fool. Gerk chimes in with some classic savage banter, roasting the chief for his missing footwear. Lashing out, the chief demands to know why the village is currently a pile of rubble. Admitting the intruders are actually dangerous, he sighs, clearly unimpressed by their destructive amateur skills. Smacking the guy, he tells him to prioritize real food over his pathetic obsession with ramen. Another massive impact shakes the earth, leaving nothing but dust and a very deep hole. Blood trails lead into the dark woods, marking the path of a very hasty retreat. This intruder stumbles through the trees, looking like he barely survived that absolute brutal beatdown. Gasping for air, he realizes these orcs are built different and definitely not to be trifled. Vowing revenge with a glowing eye, he promises that his buddy will be back soon. Recapping his chaotic day, he lists the endless, absurd disasters that ruined his entire afternoon. From falling off cliffs to eating dirt, his survival story is basically a comedy sketch. Finally passing out, he crashes hard, his day of absolute total failure coming to rest. Days later, the village is buzzing with activity as everyone works to rebuild the damage. A new clinic stands tall under the sun, proving that even after carnage, life continues. Gull is out cold in the infirmary, snoring away while a fly buzzes around. Suddenly, a wet slap hits his face, jolting our favorite troublemaker right out of sleep. Piwa, he wakes up screaming, probably wondering if the world is ending or just him. Buta looms over him with that classic, disappointed Dr. Energy, ready to dish out pain. Thwack, another solid hit lands, proving that bedside manner is definitely not in his toolkit. Buta stands there, looking like he's tired of patching up this walking disaster of an orc. Rubbing his stinging cheek, Gull fires back with some sass, calling the doctor ugly again. Buta snaps, clearly fed up with the constant stream of wounded patients and zero gratitude. Dura steps in to play the mediator, though she's clearly enjoying the petty bickering match. Gull tries to play the victim, but Buta is not buying the act for a second. Reminding the kid that Elder Guran is waiting, Buta tells him to stop wasting time. Off they go, with Gull flipping the bird as he leaves, showing zero survival instinct. Walking through the quiet village, the pair heads toward the meeting with the big boss. Gull wonders if his buddies are in trouble too, still oblivious to the real stakes. Dura explains they are busy rebuilding, since apparently destruction is the only hobby they have. Hard labor is their punishment for the recent chaos and they look absolutely miserable working. Patting his head, Dura tries to keep him calm before he faces the Elder's wrath. Oknar stands as the backdrop for this grim update, the village still reeling from impact. Guran looks serious, ready to drop the heavy news about the cost of this fight. Reading the casualty report, the reality of the battle hits home, a truly somber final tally. This village is a total construction zone after the demons trashed the local market stalls. Gerk is sitting on his throne, nursing his wounds while the elders tally the damage. Everyone is debating how to fix that massive, unfillable crater left by Elder Guran's final strike. Elder Guran tries to whistle away the awkward tension while the others stare him down. Dura finally arrives with our boy Gull in tow, looking like a pair of absolute disasters. Gull snaps to attention with zero grace, still wrapped in bandages from his recent painful defeat. This assembly hall is packed as everyone waits for the big update on the village status. Dura drops off the kid and dips, leaving him to face the music with the elders. Gull is shocked to see the elf already healed up, looking like she never took damage. Elder Guran clears the room, demanding a private meeting with the chief and their mysterious guest. This other orcs are furious, demanding to know why they're being left out of the loop. Addressing Ranwarin introduces herself, apologizing for the chaos her presence brought to their peaceful home. Ran pleads for privacy, claiming her mission is too dangerous to share with the entire village. Elder Guran gives a stern nod, deciding to hear her out behind closed doors for now. Gehrk barks a final order to the crowd, making it clear that he's calling the shots. Ran flashes back to her original mission, tracking the greedy demons to their heavily guarded base. Cloaked in elven magic, she prepares to slip past the guards and infiltrate the enemy's stronghold. Greedy demons stand at the gate, blathering about gold while Ran watches from the shadows. Staying low, she drifts past the patrol, hoping her stealth is enough to stay hidden. Moving with extreme caution, she stalks through the base, knowing one wrong step means total exposure. Ranwarin is moving fast, dodging patrols while the clock ticks down on her infiltration mission. P-shook, she activates her stealth mode, burning through mana like it's going out of style. KWSH, the drain is real, but she's gotta stay invisible to keep her head attached. Navigating the base with zero chill, she needs to find that treasure room before collapsing. Expecting a massive security detail, she's shocked to find the path completely clear of guards. Staring at the door labeled with pure greed, she realizes the loot is sitting unguarded. Walking into the vault, she finds mountains of gold but not a single soul around. Suspicious of the setup, she wonders if this is a trap but keeps moving forward. Running on fumes, she reaches for the artifact, desperate to finish this job right now. Deactivating her stealth to access her pouch, she makes the classic rookie mistake of relaxing. Rhea, a massive beast, lunges from the shadows, proving that greed has some sharp teeth. That is no ordinary guard but a specialized elf hunter beast waiting in attack mode. Shit, she realizes she's been baited into a corner by the very demons she's tracking. Boom, the vice captain is watching the whole mess go down from a safe distance. Chen, he notices the commotion, clearly enjoying the chaos unfolding in his own backyard. Stealth is useless against a beast that can sniff out an elf from miles away. Suddenly, a blast of smog reveals her position, turning her secret mission into a brawl. Cuck, she prepares to fight for her life, even though the odds are looking grim. Watching from the shadows, the vice captain mocks her, asking for a coin like royalty. Go, he tosses the coin, treating her desperate struggle like a cheap afternoon street performance. This vice captain tosses a coin, ready to end the elf's little stealthy game. Boom, a high-speed projectile slams into the building, shattering the wall with pure force. Ranwarin takes a direct hit, reeling back as the impact leaves her gasping for air. Our villain grins, clearly loving the sight of his target getting absolutely wrecked right now. Blood drips from her lip, but she's still standing, refusing to go down that easy. Another heavy strike connects, sending her flying as the structure crumbles under the intense pressure. Rubble explodes everywhere, turning the infiltration mission into a total, chaotic disaster zone for her. Dust clouds swirl around the scene, masking the brutal reality of this one-sided beatdown session. Meanwhile, the orcs are chilling, watching the chaos like it's some cheap, late-night action flick. Everyone's arguing over snacks and seating, completely oblivious to the actual life-or-death stakes involved here. Ranwarin mutters about the beast, still convinced she could have handled things with more luck. Gull is losing his mind over the treasure, ignoring the fact that she's dying. Arguments erupt over the best snacks because apparently village politics are just as petty. Fed up with the noise, the elf snaps, screaming for everyone to just shut up. Taking a breath, she tries to regain her composure, though she's clearly hanging by threads. Everything goes blank for a second, the sheer intensity of the pain finally hitting home. She admits the hit was brutal, but her gear barely saved her from total annihilation. Stitching her own wound with magic, she forces herself back into the fight, barely holding. Watching from the window, the vice captain laughs, finding the whole struggle incredibly amusing. A massive subordinate scrambles to keep up, desperate not to miss the final bloody act. Ranwarin makes a desperate exit, diving out the window to escape the encroaching doom. Falling through the night, she's still muttering about snacks' priorities right. That smug demon watches her go, clearly enjoying the chaos he's unleashed on her. Enraged, Ranwarin fires back with a verbal jab, calling him every name in the book. A massive, shadowy beast lunges from the smoke, ready to tear her apart. Her blade strikes the stone, glowing with energy as she prepares for the final stand. Crashing into the ground, she realizes getting hit by a demon is a total insult. Swooping back into the fray, she's determined to land at least one solid, painful hit. That beast snarls, its eyes burning with a hunger that's honestly pretty terrifying. Claws tearing through the air, it charges forward with lethal, predatory intent. Ranwarin dodges the massive swipe, moving with a grace that defies her exhaustion. Swinging her weapon, she narrowly avoids the beast's jaws, a close call. Dust and debris fly as the combatants trade blows in the middle of the street. Her face shows the toll of the fight, but she's not backing down yet. Surrounded by enemies, she prepares to unleash everything she's got left in the tank. Those goggles focus, locking onto her targets with cold, calculated precision. With a swift motion, she strikes, the energy blade cutting through the air. Blood sprays as her attack connects, finally putting a dent in their ranks. Gripping her bloodied blade tight, she shows no mercy to those standing in her way. Slicing through the opposition, she proves that even a cornered elf is dangerous. Ranwarin dashes through the shadows, her mana burning bright as she desperately tries to evade detection. Surrounded by enemies, she realizes her stealth mission has turned into a chaotic, high-stakes survival brawl. Clutching her blade, she prepares for the worst while the enemy closes in on her position. Slicing through the ranks, she desperately fights to carve a path out of this deadly trap. Pushing her limits, she makes a final, desperate break for freedom while the demons hunt her. Watching from the sidelines, the vice captain observes her struggle with a cold, detached sense of amusement. Blurring through the air, she moves with lethal speed, trying to outpace the inevitable. Zooming in on her goggles, the tension peaks as she realizes her resources are running dry. That smug demon stands tall, clearly enjoying the sight of his target failing her high-stakes mission. Reflecting on her defeat, she admits that losing her cool was the biggest mistake of all. Admitting she was saved by the kid, she recounts how Gull carried her to safety. Everyone gathers around, listening intently as the elf explains the dire situation they are all facing. Standing there, she reveals her wounds were reopened during that brutal 3-day flight for survival. Recalling the moment she passed out, she credits Gull for dragging her to the village. Garrick speaks up, noting that they could have just handed her over to avoid the casualties. Pointing a finger, he reminds everyone that they chose to fight and protect her instead. Questioning the mission, the chief asks for the truth about the artifact she was sent to retrieve. Glowing with power, the relic is revealed as the legendary key to the gates of heaven. Holding the mysterious object, she identifies the artifact as the Aeternum, a prize worth dying for. Slamming his fist down, the chief signals that the real trouble is only just beginning. Garrick slams his fist onto the table, sending plates and snacks flying in pure rage. Everyone in the hall freezes, the sudden outburst creating a tense, awkward silence among them. Screaming about the Aeternum, the chief declares that the elves have royally messed everything up. Demanding to know why Jess abandoned his post, Garrick looks ready to explode with frustration. Ranwarin stares back, completely baffled by the mention of a name she does not even recognize. Gull tries to calm the old man down, wondering why he's acting so incredibly intense. Explaining the history, Garrick reveals the Aeternum was the key to winning the Great War.